Make sure you guys' audio is connected.
Yep, I'm included.
Okay, we should be good.
Yep,
Okay,
I'm
mic
already.
check.
Yep, I got it.
Got you.
Yep, we are good.
All right.
Hello everybody, I'm Fan2403 here for race 17 of XRS. These cars, they look ghosted because they are. This week, as a part for the rest of the season, as voted by the drivers in XRS, we will be including qualifying in our broadcast. The way the qualifying works is simple. All the cars are ghosted, you have 4 laps, only clean laps count. If you do run a dirty lap for all your 4 laps, the fastest dirty lap goes to the rear of the field at the start of the race. And here tonight, I'm not joined by AK. Once again, he is still busy and on his hiatus that he has been. He's just busy with work. But I am joined by 2 former drivers of XRS. They haven't been actively competing a lot this season in particular. But I'm joined tonight by Rocket and Sundee Q&K. So hello to both of you tonight.
Hey there.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, so as these guys are qualifying right now, you guys, both drivers, both of you fairly fast drivers. Rocket, you're a consistent top 3, top 4 driver. Sundee, you had the record for most wins in a single XRS season until Vanquish came along this season, so both of you very well experienced. Put yourselves in the driver's mindset again. So while these guys are qualifying, what were things that you guys were thinking when you were on track qualifying?
One of the things I noticed is how grippy these new brakes they have on this tune are. They're a lot bigger than the stock brakes that these cars have. So a lot of guys are experiencing lockups, and they're also slowing down too early as they're not quite used to the new braking zone that this road course package is giving them. You'll see a lot of guys braking either too early and then overturning as they get into the apex of the corner, and they end up messing up their exit. And you'll also notice guys locking up because they're just overusing those brakes too much, like the stock brake package, and they end up locking up and going wide. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch.
Yep,
Yep, go ahead.
You want to find spots to use as braking zones, so try to find a sign or find a mark on the track, anything to help you with hitting your braking spot every single time. You got to be as perfect as you can get because you want to be comfortable and confident in your driving, and if you can, you'll be able to compete with the top guys and you'll be quick.
Yeah, especially in long races like these XRS races have often been. You got to be nice and consistent for long runs. As the caution intervals get longer and longer, you've got to be ready to run 10, 15, 20, 30 laps under green. So being consistent on the brakes, making sure you don't lock up, you don't brake too early, and you just keep running consistent good lap times to try and keep your pace. Those will be really crucial as this goes on.
Yeah, and this track in particular, Road America, XRS, we've been running at Road America for quite a bit now. I believe this is around the 4th season in a row that XRS has been at Road America. And as you mentioned with this track, Sundee, you try to find marks because you need to hit your mark every single time to be consistent in order to make it every time. But Road America, pretty technical track. There really is very little room for error, especially considering, one, how long this track actually is. It takes over 2 minutes to complete 1 lap. But also, just different technicalities.
Wrecked. Big wreck coming out of 2. Cam just spun off into the dirt. Whew. That'll hurt him in qualifying.
Yeah, we'll go to him. He's just losing a lot of momentum down the back straightaway.
I think he got those.
Really, there's like 2 back straightaways.
Yeah, it looks like he locked up going in, and then he just got in the mud, and he just didn't get on the brakes, and he just tried to gas it up and keep going, and it just looped around on him. That's a really hard thing at this track, is if you do lock up those big brakes and you get into the sand or the gravel or whatever's on the edge of this track, it's really easy to spin and get dragged off into that stuff, and that will kill your lap times.
Yep, there are only 2 or 3 spots on the track where they got pavement continuing on and not just grass or sand right away, so there's only a few spots where you're okay to make a mistake, but everywhere else, it's pretty bad consequences.
Yeah, and obviously that's something that a lot of these guys are thinking about. But on top of Road America already being a very technical circuit, and as Rocket, you have been mentioning here, the different brakes that we have been using this season for the road course package, there's an added essence of pressure. After this, there's only one race to go, and it's Daytona. So, from that perspective, as the drivers, you two, what would you guys be thinking if you're trying to stay comfortable in the top 8, or maybe you're a driver like off-road or in Reno who are trying to get that 9th wildcard playoff spot? What's the added pressure of being able to run successful tonight?
Well, the key thing is a lot of those guys that are more on the edge, this isn't their forte. There's a lot of guys like Panda, Cam, Reno, like you said, they aren't quite on the road course side of it. So this is a really tricky situation that could really hurt them going in. I was talking with Panda, we were practicing together, and he was struggling a lot to have consistent pace at this track. So this could make or break your run at it, and you'll end up going into Daytona in a must-win, and you've got to try and beat those shift cars, which are very strong. So how this race goes could determine who gets the wild card slot, as there's guys that are on the edge of either being in or being the wild card. So it's going to be a very wild 2 races.
Very much so. Taking a look at the point standings here, as a reminder, Vanquish in the points lead with 603, and he also has a healthy margin in playoff points. Vanquish at 31 playoff points currently. MVP is second for playoff points with 21, and then Typhon with 16. But in the regular season standings, Kart Racer at second with 585, MVP with 582, so maybe it could be a close battle there for second in the standings. Culture sitting at 509, D-Dog at 498, Typhon at 496, Oracle at 483, Panda at 482, and Reno at 473, and Off-Road at 457. So there, once you read practically 5th on back, the points, they get pretty tight. You guys, while you both have been very fast, and Sundee, I'm sure there was hardly ever situations when you were driving that you needed to worry about points. But,
Yeah.
but is that something that's going through your head, like every position is an additional point, or thinking about that 5-point gap between first and second? Is that something that's going through the driver's mind, or no? You're just trying to run your best?
Oh, definitely. You're always trying to get as many points as you can get. So the key is to be able to try to stay up front all race and be able to be there at the end to get the finished result that you need.
Yeah, for me personally, one of the things that I've always gone about, I don't usually focus on the individual points. I focus on a person in particular. Who do I need to beat going into this race? Because that'll usually help you a bit more than trying to think of individual points. It's, okay, I need to finish in front of, say, Cam. I need to beat him. I need to sit 2 spots ahead of him to at least be even with him going into the next race. I've been in other championships. I've never personally been in an XRS fight, but that's always the way I've looked at it is, okay, how many spots ahead of these people do I need to finish? And I try to manage that. But that's always flowing through your mind in these playoff situations, is how am I to the good? Am I to the negative? What do I need to do to try and get myself in there? Because it could be one move could put you from outside the box looking in to inside the box looking out at everyone else trying to beat you to get back in there. So this is going to be very tight.
Yeah, we have seen it come down to the wire before, not just trying to get into the playoffs, but for the actual fight for the championship itself. Last season, with only, I believe, 1 race or 2 races left in the playoffs, there was only a 5-point separation between 4th and 8th. Only 5 points separating those guys. So the championship fight is anybody's game, and everybody just trying to pretty much duke it out, so then they can be as successful as they can be. Qualifying about to be wrapped up here shortly. Looks like we are just waiting on Subsonic to cross the finish line. But we are all safely assuming that Vanquish has secured the pole.
I don't
As he
think
did.
there's any fight with that.
As he did run fastest in practice, I believe he was in the 2:03s, 2 minutes 3 seconds.
Yeah, he's
around
just
there.
a whole nother beast. You know, the fastest I could
Yeah.
get was a 2:05, I believe, in practice, and he's just on a whole nother planet. Everywhere he goes, he's just that. He's so much faster. The only place you can really try to keep a fight with him is at the ovals. Those aren't. He's not quite as strong at those. He's still a very good competitor at those tracks, but those are the one tracks where he kind of can slip up, and you might be able to get an edge over him.
Yep, and there you see, pulling up the event results. Obviously, this is not the qualifying order, because Forza goes out of order a little bit. But quickly scanning through everyone's lap times, it does look like Vanquish secured the pole with a 2:03.36. And then MVP, I think, might have just secured second as well with a 2:04.5. And then from there on back, it's a bunch of jambles.
I believe Tython secured that top 3 spot. Looking at, oh no, Tomato actually.
Tython, or no, Tomato, yes.
So this
Tomato,
is going to be an
rookie in the
interesting
XRS
fight.
field tonight.
Yeah, Tomato's a really good road course driver. He hasn't done a lot of Cup leagues from what I've seen. He's been more racing Monte Carlos, but he is a very fast. Same with Tython, they are very fast road course drivers. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to Vanquish that either of those two or MVP could try and sneak that win away. It'll be very tight.
Yeah, as we've seen this season, Vanquish obviously the most dominant driver of the season. Most of his wins have come at road courses, and he has a good amount of oval wins as well. He's won at Indianapolis, he's won at Homestead. So, Vanquish for sure the driver and the favorite to look out for tonight, but you just never quite know. We had a driver, I believe their name was Bryant, who came in. He was an XRS rookie, and it was between him and Jankum at this same track at Road America. It actually came down to 2 laps to go. Bryant made a mistake on the backstretch with a kink. He made that mistake, got into the grass, and him and Jankum actually both wrecked. But they had a far enough of a lead that it was Bryant able to secure the victory in that one in his first career start. But even then, he just still never knew. I thought it was going to be a cruising, sailing victory for Brian in his first career start, but no. He ended up making a mistake with 2 laps to go, but it was enough that didn't cost either one of them the victory.
Yeah, that section is very tricky. I've almost gotten caught a few times in league races in that kink. You got to be very particular about what gear you use going in, when you choose to shift into that 4th gear. It could be, depending on what you do there, could make or break your entire lap. That is where a lot of guys end up sneaking into the grass, and some of them even plow that wall, and that's where a lot of big wrecks can happen if you're running in a tight pack.
Mm-hmm. So we're waiting on the official grid order to be sent in to us by race control, and then once I get the official grid order, I'll actually read it off. And then obviously before we load in, the grid order will be shown, just so then we can get a reminder for everyone. Quick, fast thoughts. You just wrapped up qualifying. Now, once again, from your guys' perspective, what's going on? How are you going to treat just the initial start of the race, or any type of strategy that you might want to put into it?
Initial start, you're going to want to grab as many positions as you can, because this is a very long track. You want to try and start that gap early, because as we start to spread out, it's going to be harder and harder to make positions. If you go too lenient on the start and you end up getting mired back in traffic and you have to slowly pick them off, it's going to stretch out that gap, and then it's going to take longer and longer for you to work your way through the field. So I think the start's going to be very critical, and then with only 30 laps, I believe we'll only need 1 stop, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
should be only 1 stop.
Strategy will be more, when do you pit? How much tire do you want to have left at the end? How far do you push it on fuel? It's going to be very interesting with how the cautions roll out and all that. This could go many different ways depending on cautions and other factors.
And I agree. You want to be there at the start. You want to be pushing hard, being aggressive as you can, but you also got to be smart about it. You don't want to make enemies while you're out there right away, and you want to keep your car clean. So once once the pack starts spreading out and you come up to slower guys in front of you, just be patient, put a lot of pressure on them, and soon enough they'll make a mistake and you can get right on around them. And then with pitting, if you're falling behind the leaders or something and you're not going to be able to do it on speed, you got to find a different way to try to gain an advantage on everyone else. So say you can go like the minimum lap you have to pit on is like lap 20 or lap 15, then pit at lap 15. Don't wait until your fuel completely runs out. Pit in as early as possible, and then you might be able to get some gains on the leader when they come in.
Yeah, and very much with the fuel run that we're going to have tonight is probably going to be, if you're just paying attention to fuel, it'll be 17 to 20 lap window. So with it being a 31 lap race, there's a lot of options there. You can either run the tank out all the way to the end, go all the way lap 17, 20, but then you have really fresher tires, but at the same time you're late pitting. You're probably going to be one of the last drivers to pit. You could split it right down the middle. You'll have healthy tires, healthy fuel left for both. Both be pretty much lap 15. That'll be practically the midway point of the race, because with the one pace lap. So, or you can short pit. Pit only at around lap 20, lap 11. Pit around there, you'll make it to the end on fuel, but how much tires do you actually want to have left? This isn't very grip orientated as a track, let's say Laguna Seca or Sonoma. Those tracks you want to have tires, but just how much tires do you actually still want to have for this track at Road America?
Yep, this track still takes some tires. You still want to have some good grip underneath you throughout the lap. But one of the advantage about pitting early is you can get out of the pack. Say if you're having trouble trying to get around someone, they're holding you up big time, get in the pits, take tires, get your fuel, get out. You're in open track. You can go as hard as you can, set down qualifying laps, and try to push as hard as you can so that when everyone else goes in, you'll be around the guy that was holding you up, and you might be a couple seconds up. You might have gained a couple seconds on the leader.
Yeah, I agree with that. It depends on how you feel with your tires, though. Like, if you're struggling a lot with those more worn-out tires, you may want to stay out longer to try and have those better tires at the end, but at the same time, coming in earlier, you also might jump a few cars, and you can kind of stay in front of them and maybe block a little bit and gain a few spots out of that. So it all depends on how you feel about the tires. This is a very square track. There's not too many tires that take it's not a lot of corners that take an extreme amount of tire to keep consistently fast through, but tires will be a bit of a factor near the end depending on what strategy you go with.
Will be interesting, and of course you guys as the drivers will be giving insight to that all night long. We finally have the grid order in. Grid order starting tonight. Vanquish on pole, no surprise there, with MVP second, starting alongside him. Tomato and Tython will make up row 2 for 3 and 4. Kart Racer and Oracle in 5th and 6th. Off-Road Hype in 7th. Coulter in 8th. D-Dog back to 9th. Panda, top 10, so that rounds off your top 10. AUG Edwards qualifying in the 11th position. Back in Black making a return tonight at 12th. FME Sports in 13th. Ray's Peasant at 14th. RZX Cam at 15. Smokey Unic at 16. Then we have Subsonic at 17th, and then JW Reno rounding off the field in 18th. So that's got to kill Reno. I mean, you call it 18th.
Yeah, really bad qualifying
last
for Cam and Reno. That'll help Panda.
Mm-hmm.
Like those were the two guys he was really fighting with. That's really bad for those two. I don't know what happened to them. I'm guessing that crash for Cam must have hurt him.
Yeah, for Cam, it could have been the crash that happened with him, or Reno, what could have happened, because he typically runs fairly well. He's been improving on his road coursing racing ability, but, like I said, during qualifying, fastest dirty lap goes to the back. So there could have been an issue there to where he just couldn't quite get a clean lap. Maybe it was just self-reaction. Maybe he was around Cam when he spun. And that tends to happen sometimes. Even though we're all ghosted, a driver wrecks in front of you. Sometimes you forget it's ghosted. I can just go straight through them, and then you still react to the wreck. But we're waiting for the grid to be all readied up, and then obviously they're getting all settled in their party. I believe it's just enough to have 2 parties, because we have 18. So Discord has been buggy the past few weeks, and so we made the switch back to the 2 Xbox party communications. And it's a shame that Discord can't be working properly, but hopefully that all gets resolved for the future. Now, if you're just tuning in, we're waiting for the start of Race 17 in the XRS season. 2 races to go in the regular season. Joined alongside with Rocket and Sundee Q&K, 2 former drivers in XRS. And if you haven't already, follow us on Twitch for full highlights after the race, and then obviously subscribe to our YouTube channel for the Wheel to Wheel podcast and full race replays. And also follow us on TikTok and Instagram for more up-to-news, dates, and edits. And there, as we load in, is the grid order on your screen, as it was just read to you earlier. Now we're loading in.
So the real question for you guys is, who are you picking for second place? Who's our second place driver to vanquish? I'm going with Tomato.
I'm going MVP.
I'm picking with...
I'm going MVP.
I don't know. I feel like Tomato, he didn't have as good of a qualifying as he hoped. He still got 3rd, but he was nowhere close to what those 2 are putting out. I think with how methodical Tomato is, I think if MVP makes a mistake, Tomato can capitalize and get that 2nd position, maybe even a win if something happens to vanquish. This is a long race with how big this track is. I wouldn't be surprised if either a lap car somehow makes a mistake, a caution comes out and something happens. There could be a whole mess of things that change this race, and I think Tomato could capitalize on it because he's just so clean and consistent. I think if everything goes his way, he could easily walk away with a win.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Kart Racer. I think if he stays up there with the leaders, or at least the second on back, stay up with them, wait for them to make mistakes, and you can get around them. Just try to be there at the end. That's the key point, and I think if he can capitalize on people's mistakes, he'll be able to get there in 2nd place and maybe even 1st place.
That's a lot of faith in Kart Racer. No.
Yeah,
Hey,
we might be cursed a little bit.
But Kart Racer, he's 2nd in the standings right now, very healthy in the playoffs, but he's only sitting at 8 playoff points currently. So a podium today and potentially a good run at Daytona, that can give him a little bit more of a boost at the start of the playoffs.
Well, those shift cars have always been so good at Daytona. I think even if they have a bad day today, I think they can recover easily at Daytona. They all find themselves, they get in that top 4, and they just run away. They just use their own pack. They don't even need the rest of us to have their own race. So I don't think those guys are too worried. I think they can easily use that group of them to kind of manipulate who they want where and be able to get their driver in. Whether it's Reno looking on the outside or a Kart needs extra points, they can easily work their way up there and get that.
Yeah, good point. Reno, most of his career wins have been at Daytona. In fact, all except for 2 of his victories have been at Daytona. So
yeah, I remember being behind him in a couple of those. I think I got 3rd to him and D-Dog once. That was my only ever podium. I always got stuck behind him.
yeah, very, very, very much a confident track for Reno to finish off the regular season with. As this has been a very long pace lap, but they're all the way on the back stretch. Just a few more corners come around to the front stretch. So now it's got to be a little bit. You have to have just a little bit of nervous to you. Like, I'm not saying you have full on anxiety, going through this pace lap, but sometimes the pace lap, it feels like the longest
Oh,
lap
yeah.
ever, and you're just waiting to go, anticipating the start.
From someone who's done IRL racing, the longer the
Mhm.
pace lap, the more the nerves start to build. Once
Oh,
the
yeah.
green flag goes, they all start to go away. But that a long pace lap like this, at pace lap is 2 minutes. So this has got to be 4-5 minutes of their time. They're really starting to build nerves.
And it doesn't even matter if you know you're the fastest one in the field. You still get nerves. Every time I started shaking before the start of the race, but once your mind gets going, you feel good, and we are going green.
Yep, green flag, race 17 underway. Vanquish takes the early lead, MVP, and second, side by side for third.
Oh, they're trying to make it side by side back there with that pink 6K car, or K2. Trying to make it three
Oracle
wide.
tucks in
lockup.
line behind Typhon.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
a little bit of a lockup there.
One car in the grass.
Yeah,
That was
those big
Tomato.
brakes, they're really locking them up going into these corners. Very tight 90-degree corners. That's going to be a lot of lockups going on this first lap as everyone warms back up after qualifying.
It only takes about half a lap for these tires to warm up in reality. So there at the start, if you didn't warm up your tires during the pace lap,
Two cars. Back in black and one other car. I think that was D-Dog. Yep, D-Dog and Jody in the sand trap. Ooh, big crash. Yep, another lockup. It looked like Jody sent it 3 wide on him and on D-Dog and Cam, and they locked up and went off into the infield there. Good job by Cam seeing it coming and dodging it.
and now Back in Black falls all the way back to the last position.
Yeah,
in
D-Dog
18th.
did not need that. That is
Yeah.
gonna hurt him.
Yep, now it's all about playing catch up.
Yeah, 'cause they're not too. Thankfully, that happened on the first lap. They're not too far back. Nobody's gotten too spread out. That is a bad
Yep,
start.
plenty of time to try and get going. Meanwhile, who started all the way in last, Reno, he's made his way all the way up to 9th as another driver goes off the grass a little bit.
Maybe that was his
Believe that was
plan.
Panda.
Maybe he wanted to try and work. Maybe he knew there'd be calamity and he was hoping he could cut his way through. Yeah, up to 8th now. He is just trucking.
Mm-hmm.
Really cruising along in that 58 machine.
57. Very much steaming his way through the field.
Look at
Take
Cam,
advantage of a
too.
lot of
Cam's
mistakes.
worked his way into the top 10 already. After that crash with Jody and D-Dog, he's already up there. A lot of movers already. The K2 machine of Ray's Peasant, he's up to 11th after starting, I believe, 17th. A lot of movers at the back of the field. This is going to be really interesting.
A lot of early advantages. Meanwhile, up front, it's smooth sailing with Vanquish, MVP, and then Typhon tucking in third.
Bit of playoff implications here. Reno has passed Panda already. He got by him. He's up to 8th. Panda's currently 9th. So that's going to hurt Panda already going into this thing. It helps him a bit that Cam's fallen down after that bad qualifying, but those three oh, nope, Cam's now right behind him. Those 3 playoff drivers under a blanket going into turn 3, I believe. That's going to be a really interesting story. Oh, Cam's making the pass on Panda right as we speak.
Yep, riding alongside with him. Let's go on his game camera. Right now, drivers left, exiting the uphill. They're in the quick chicane,
Panda's
tapping
right
Panda.
There's contact.
Sideways, they
Oh,
don't save it, Cam.
he
Kept it out of the
saved
wall.
it. No way.
Yep, he kept it out of the wall. I thought he was going to go straight into the wall.
What a
What a
save by
recovery
Cam,
by
even with that
RZX Cam.
sim steering on a controller. I don't know how he saved that. It looked like he was going to sim flick into the wall. Great save by Cam.
Great save.
This has already been a good race. Great start. Oh,
Cam just Cam seemingly just very loose. right
oh,
now.
Edwards might be wrecking
Car
there.
off track ahead, Edwards.
Ooh, he
Losing
barely
momentum off-road.
almost went off
We'll
the
take
wall. He
advantage of
managed
that.
to bring it back. Ooh. That'll help
Now
Cam.
Cam
passing
diving.
him. Oh, but he goes back off. It's going to be a big battle between those two.
AUG with the crossover.
Side by side. Oh, we're going to lock up from Cam. Those big brakes, they're just struggling to... Oh, there's some twitch. Yeah, you'll see that a lot with the
hardest
drivers.
right now.
Almost
Got a
clipped
lot.
that
Oh,
left
D-Dog.
rear.
D-Dog going on by Kieran.
See them twitching a lot when they get touched at all. Like you saw Cam there, he nearly. Who was
That
that?
was
Edwards
interesting.
and D-Dog. Edwards and D-Dog making contact in the straightaway.
Oh, Cam with
Cam
a
dive
dive.
bombing turn one.
D-Dog makes it through. What a move! Around the outside, he made that work.
What a battle right now going on, and this is only for
Oh, did Cam
11th.
hit him? I think Cam just knocked D-Dog a little bit there. Oh, they're hitting each other some more.
It looks like Cam is really pushing hard. He's starting to lock up in all the
Yeah.
braking zones.
Yep.
He's known for getting really over-aggressive sometimes. He probably just getting a little too into it. He's not. They need to kind of back away and refocus. This is a long race. It's only lap 4. Oh, he hit him!
D-Dog locks up.
That was Cam that locked up again.
Cam boosted up Sim
Both
Twitch.
locked up. Edwards
saved
off
it.
track as well.
Oh, Edwards is trying to give him a bump now. They're all moving each other for that 11th spot. They want to get back in the top 10. And that K2 car, Race President, he is looking at that and he is scared. He's hoping he can run away and not get involved with these three. They clearly mean business. They want to cut their way through here and get up to that top 5 if they can.
Go ahead to D-Dog right here. D-Dog, whoa, little drift there.
Yeah, he is pushing
Oh,
those tires.
Cam's in the grass
Oh, both of them
and
off track.
Edwards.
Not, they both keep together again, but that was.
Gotta keep your cool, boys. Got a
Yeah, they
long
need to
race to
calm
go.
it down. This is getting way out of hand. This is way
Rest in
too
peace to
early.
the weather
Lap
tech
4
sign.
of 30.
Gotta get back into rhythm. Oh man, he's lucky that you can't flat spot tires on Forza. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
don't have to pit.
Meanwhile, with all that, D-Dog getting out of Dodge. Now he is back up to 10th. He passed Ray's Peasant.
Reno up to 6th. He's just running back up to that top. He's almost in the top 5 now. He's catching up on. He's just behind Oracle, so he's going to be making it into the top 5. That is really going to hurt Panda. That'll change up everything. Panda doesn't have a win, so he's not even in it for the wild card position.
Yeah. Now there is quite a bit of a separation between them. It's not like they're next to each other. Panda's at 482, Drino at 473.
But still, with those
So
with the shift
does
cars
have a
being
little
so
bit.
good at Daytona, it's really worrying going into this race losing that buffer. I believe Panda said he had 9 points above Reno, so that's a very. If he chips that down to 3 or 4
Oh,
points.
Reno, a little off track now. Coulter, gonna dive, not quite. Reno holds his ground.
Yeah, I would be worried if I was below 5 points of gap. I'd be worried about Reno going into Daytona because those shift cars, you know they're going to be running up front, especially with a guy like Reno who's got a lot of wins at Daytona. I would be very nervous if I was Panda. You've got to try and work your way up there and minimize that damage to only be, you want to try and have at least 8 points. You don't want him to gain much.
The battle for second place here ramping up, I should say, as Typhon is pretty much caught MVP.
Yeah, like I was saying, go ahead.
My pick for second place, he's all the way in the back. He must have had unfortunate events happen. Already had to go to pit road and already on the tail end of the field. Kart racer.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big scramble on the first lap. Would have been surprised if he got potential damage. Maybe he ran into the back of somebody. Maybe someone hit him. Like, a lot of crazy stuff going on. The gap already in the field is starting, so you got to keep consistent. Don't make mistakes. And then just try and minimize any damage that happens. I mean, look at Python's trying to make a move here. He's just... Oh, he's giving a bit of a bump.
That bumper.
He wants that position, you know.
That, or he wants to try and force a mistake out of MVP.
Yeah,
he
he's
does get a
he's
more
trying
of
to
a
make
run
him
off
nervous.
of turn 2.
Hard to make those esports guys nervous, though. They are really consistent, and it's hard to make them
And
sweat.
MVP has the preferred line
Yep.
going into this corner.
Yeah, but that outside works really good. You can pinch him off. Right? He's got a lot more room to use with that rumble strip. He might be able to make the stick here.
He's
Hold
clear
him
him.
into this corner. Yeah,
he does.
He clears him into that corner. Oh, but he
Oh,
He went
for
wide.
losing.
close.
He went wide. MVP fighting back.
MVP does not want to
Another
come to that
left-hander.
spot. Tyson will run away with it if he can clear it.
Fortunate wide
Oh,
there.
but I think he's going to have to give it to him here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tyson
He heals,
using
but he's
all
going
the
to push
track he
Tyson in. He
can.
pushed him just a little. He's trying to make him loose. That is a very sketchy corner to be
He's
bumping,
holding-
but they're
he's
doing
holding
it.
it though. Yeah, Tyson, he's
Oh,
holding it.
that little bobble on accident. He got just a touch loose from those taps. Oh, look at them pushing it right to the edge of that rumble strip. They are using every little bit of surface they have.
Great racing already, and it's only lap 6.
Yeah, this is crazy racing. It looks like he might be able to stretch it, but I think MVP is just so quick. I don't know how long Tyson will be able to hold him. Oh, he goes just a little bit wide.
Yeah.
Just a touch. Nothing too worried. Quite often drivers go off just a little bit on that corner as they're pushing so hard to keep that car fast.
Like you said, like we said earlier at the top of the broadcast, hitting your marks, being able to build more momentum, and keeping it.
Tomato's watching this from 4th place. He's licking his lips right now. He's hoping that those two have a bit of a mistake and one of them goes off and he can try and take that 3rd spot. Whenever you're
Go
in that,
quite a ways back,
it's-
so more of a major mistake would need to happen.
I mean, a minor mistake becomes a major mistake so quick with how little runoff area there is. If you wreck, you could easily get sucked into the grass and you could go spinning, gently flipping if you're going fast enough with how long these straightaways are. Like, anything could happen with how this track is made. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a car flip today with how much grass there is and how fast the speeds are down those straightaways.
And RZX Cam to pit road.
What happened to Cam? He's all the way down to 15th. Oh,
Might have caught none.
yeah,
Might have gotten caught up in something minor, or could
Potentially.
have been something.
could
He
have gotten.
was having a lot of twitch. He was having a lot of
Yeah,
twitch in
he's
his
struggling with
in the
that.
steering.
Could have also, I mean, D-Dog, he could have gotten in a bit of a scuffle with D-Dog and one of those other, who else was with him? I think it was Edwards. I
in
don't
the
see
back.
Edwards. Yeah, potentially him and Edwards had something happen. Yeah, Edwards is in 17th.
He's coming out of the pits too.
Yeah, that maybe something happened between those two. They were beating and banging a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if something finally boiled over and one of them hit the other too hard. Something
Well,
might have happened to Reno. He's down to 7th.
We will
Going
see
back
if
to
enough we will see if enough happened to bring out the first yellow. As Vanquish, he's now on the front stretch, and he is off the gas entirely. So first caution of the day comes out here now, starting lap 8. The incident happened looked like on lap 7 or lap 6.
That'll be an interesting shake-up. Do you guys take tires and hope that and then just try and pit later in? Because everyone has to pit at least once, and we're not at the point where you'll make it on fuel. So most likely, if I was in the race, I'd probably take a risk and take those tires now, and I could risk pitting later in the session, or maybe even if we have more cautions, try and save fuel and just extend that cycle and see how long it can push it, because I believe a fuel runs around 15 laps. So you might be able to stretch it to like 16 if you really push it. So you have a bit of play with when you pit if you take those tires now. You also, all these guys have been using up their tires. Everyone's locking up those fronts, so they're going to be really worn out by now. I would probably take the tires and risk being in the back of the pack.
Now, maybe that could be the sense if you're one of the fast guys, because the faster you are, the more you're going to use up your tires. But what if you're about a MIG-pack driver right now? You're sitting like just inside the top 10. What's your take on what you might want to try and do here?
That's an interesting situation because it depends on how your tires are feeling and how you feel about your car. You could potentially I'd be very hesitant to stay out because those fast guys, they're even faster. They have fresh tires, and they're going to be charging. So it's almost better to take the tires and be behind them and say, okay, I'm not going to, because you're just asking to get in a big wreck. If you have a lot of slower cars at the front and these fast guys are coming, that could easily result in a massive pileup. So
Maybe we could see a monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Leader goes in, everyone else follows.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see any of the top 3 go in. I wouldn't be surprised if they drag another 5, 6 cars with them.
Yeah, and if you're at the tail end of the field, I'd take the chance and not pit. I mean, that's positions you gain, and if there's a wreck, you're in good position. Then you can maybe fuel window opens up, get your fuel, get out. You're in the front. Everyone's got to get around you, so.
It all depends on what the leaders do. If I was that back marker, I'd probably do the opposite. If the leaders stay out, I go in. If the leaders go in, I stay out. Try and be off strategy, change what you're doing, maybe make a few positions that way with either fresher tires or having the track position, because track position will be key, as we were saying earlier, with how much spread gets to be a factor as the run goes on. So I would probably do the opposite of whatever the leader does if I was one of those cars outside the top 10, like the K2 of Race Peasant, I think Cam, A.G. Edwards. I'd be one of those guys, and I'd probably do the opposite of what everyone else does, trying to make up positions. Because we are a third of the way through.
For sure, an interesting spot here. Yeah, for sure, an interesting spot here. We usually get an average on road course races this season. We have seen only about 2, maybe 3 cautions form. So with this being the first one, we could anticipate one more. But at the same time, at Mugello earlier this season, or no, Monza Short. At Monza Short, we had a cautionless race, which obviously that's not the case here. But could you anticipate that, okay, if you pit now, wait until the next caution, then pit, and you're good to the end of the race? Or are you going to take a safer route and anticipate that there isn't going to be a caution for the next 20 laps in the race?
With a league like this, we have so many top-level drivers. You don't see as many random accidental crashes. It's usually hard racing, and with a track that's so spread out, we're not as close to each other as we would be like last week at Miami. So I just can't really, I wouldn't imagine anyone's really counting on a second caution. I just don't know if you can depend on that to happen. So I'd probably be thinking this is your one chance to get tires under caution, and the rest of it's probably going to be green flag, maybe one more caution. Well, it looks like Vanquish might be dipping into the pits. Yep, the leaders are taking that.
Top 4 go in.
Yep, and then looks like Culture and
D-Dog.
Yeah, a lot of the field stays out.
D-Dog went in.
It was from that little mid-pack on back. That's when you started seeing a lot of 50-50 decisions.
Yeah, this is when a guy like Titan and MVP could make gains as people fight with Vanquish trying to keep their positioning. They could easily sneak their way through. Vanquish could get caught in a wreck. This is when the race becomes very strange, as it's who can cut through the field the best and who just gets lucky with how the slower cars fall. It's going to be very difficult from this point on for those fast guys. Yeah, all of our really quick cars pitted there with Vanquish, Titan, MVP, Tomato. Those guys are going to be on a completely different strategy now than what they would have been on if they stayed out. Where's Cart? Cart's in 8th place. He might be able to capitalize off of that if he can run, because he's got, I believe, looks like 3 or 4 positions to Vanquish. So that could make up a bit of time. He could potentially try and take the lead and run away with it a little bit until Vanquish catches him. He could try and lead some laps.
As we know, there were a handful of drivers who had pitted early because of early on incidents. So a couple of those guys, they stayed out thinking like, okay, I already went to pit road. I got my service. I didn't intend on going in. It was an unscheduled pit stop, but now, with this caution coming out at the time that it did, you kind of had 50-50 decisions, and that's what we saw. We saw drivers like D-Dog, who were just outside the top 10, go in, but then we saw the first 4 or 5 guys go into pit road.
If you look at the back there, Cam and A.G. Edwards are dead last. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the reason this caution came out. Like we were thinking, they probably crashed and brought out this caution. Explain why they're last. So it's definitely going to be interesting, because it looks like from 11th on back, they're all got fresh tires. So those guys are going to be charging now. They're going to be trying to use those tires, make positions, and try and capitalize when everyone else pits. Try and use that extra time they'll have. Because it doesn't seem like a lot, but on such a big track, when you gain like 20 seconds on pit road to the guys who pit, that'll be massive. It'll be a really big advantage to have that time, because you can save, you don't have to wear your tires out as much. These guys can now lay back and try and save what they have until they want to go again. They've got a lot of time.
And these guys can be patient with getting through the pack. The guys in front of them still have to pit for fuel. And granted, these guys do too, but these guys will have to before them. So wait for them to go in. You got a clean track to gain as much time on everyone else as possible, and then you can comfortably go in and you'll be out in the front.
And we could easily see another caution here, so this all could change very quickly. Like, those guys, now with guys like Vanquish having that extra tire, they now don't have to worry if there is a caution that changes their strategy, because they're all set. They can pit when these guys pit, or they can pit later in the run. They've got a lot more options, where guys like Cart, they're kind of set to what they picked now. They have to go to when they wanted to pit, or else they won't have enough fuel to make it to the end. So it's going to be a very interesting strategy game, depending on if we have another caution from this restart or other factors get involved.
I want to focus right here as we're going to come around this final corner. Three particular drivers who are not used to being up front, especially on a road course: Panda, Off-Road, and Back in Black. These guys, they were sitting just outside the top 10, and watch them try to take advantage on this restart.
Yeah, fast road course guy like Oracle on the front, that's going to be an interesting restart.
Whoa, a bobble right away. Culture couldn't quite get going. Green flag back out.
Might have missed a shift there. Jody's known for pushing. He could have given him a bit of a shot, got him loose. They're already looking 3 wide, it looks like. Yep, 3
Back
wide.
Jody's eyeballing, locking up. Oh, race peasant.
Big one.
More cars off track. Big pile up. Kart racers spinning outside the
Jody's
wall.
wrecking again. They're crashing more.
Back in Black.
5 or 6
Others.
cars.
Oh my god, massive crash.
That's to be expected on the start.
Jody's limping now. His car's
Back in
jumping.
Black. It was a mixture of Back in Black locking up, and I believe it was 19. That was subsonic. 19 also dived bomb and locked up all the way into turn 1.
Oh, that was a big mess for Panda. That hurt him really bad. Yeah, Panda's down to 9th already. That's really going to hurt him.
Smokey and Back in Black.
Vanquish already up to 4th place. He got lucky cutting through that. That really, see those guys with fresh tires, Cam, Vanquish, Titan, they're already up there. So.
And the guys that wrecked, they got a long ways to go to get back to the pits.
Yeah. The worst part is they could have pitted, but now they have to pit out anyway because they got in a crash. So that's big problems for those teams. And that's what we were talking about in the pre-race.
Whoa, little bobble from Off-Road on the backstretch.
Those brakes being such a game changer because so many guys are used to running stock brakes. So those big brakes, you get into a high-stress situation like a restart, and you just forget, you on the brake too hard, and all of a sudden you're racking half the field.
And after all that commotion, Vanquish taking no time, got himself back up to the top 3. Now he chases down Oracle and Reno. But Reno wide, almost approaching the final corner.
Ooh, D-Dog off track. Sideways.
Oracle got a little loose.
Panda barely missing him.
And just really in a bad situation now. That really hurt him. He needs a good run today, and that was not what he wanted to see.
Aggression from a lot of other drivers. Panda, he didn't do anything wrong in particular.
No, he just got wadded up in
around
it.
him.
You know, that's
It's
just
just
the way
about
these
what's
go.
happening around him.
Especially when you have guys who don't care. Like Jody, he's not here for any other reason other than to try and win races and get good finishes. As was I, as was Sundee when we were running last week. You know, we're not here. We don't care as much about your playoff chances. We'll try not to hit you, but you know, we're still here to win. We want to try and get good finishes, try and get wins on our mantle. That's all that we're trying to do. So those guys are the ones you really got to watch out for us. especially when you got a guy like Jody who just does not care.
Look at here, Vanquish is fighting for the lead already with Oracle. Oracle able to put some good blocks in the corners, not allowing Vanquish to get by right away.
Yeah, it was only going to last so long before he gets up there with how much faster he was than anyone else in the field. Oracle, he's probably not going to push that issue too hard because he does not want to get anyone too upset with him. It would not take much to make somebody want to punt him off into the sand, especially when you could lose so much time if you do get shoved off track. So just taking your time trying to pass these guys. He's 2 seconds faster a lap than most of these guys. There's no point in pushing the issue.
And Vanquish is being patient. He had the run coming out of the carousel. And he waited until after the kink, and there you go. There he goes to get out of there.
Yeah, a lot of guys try to make the move into that kink. That's where some wrecks end up happening because they're just thinking, oh yeah, I've got this run. But sometimes it's better to wait and get the run out of that kink.
Yeah, you gotta be smarter than what you think. You gotta keep your car clean.
I think
that for sure displays the
wealth.
Yeah, he got
I
involved.
think that for sure shows the race pace and just the experience that Vanquish has. Oh, he saw that too. As Sundee, as you were pointing out, he had the run coming out the carousel, but he backed off. He waited for his right opportunity to get right around Oracle.
And he probably knew he could get in the brakes later than Oracle, and so he was able to just dive it down deeper in the corner and just take that position right from him.
Yeah. Both our picks aren't doing too good right now with Kart Racer in 12th and Tomato down in 7th. They got a little bit roughed up on that restart.
We still got a ways to go. If we get another caution, that'll pack everyone back up and give everyone another chance.
Have more drivers on pit road now. Culture and Edwards both in the pit lane.
Python's on the hunt right now, though. He's all the way up to 3rd place. He's not too far behind Vanquish. If he does happen to make a mistake, Python's right there. You know, he's going to get by Oracle. Those two are teammates. He probably won't put up too much of a fight against Tython here.
Tython, he has been a bit of that under-the-radar road course driver. He has amazing speed. He has a win this season. Currently in the top 8, trying to fight himself way through into the playoffs. But Tython, he's a special driver. He really just tends to get faster as the race goes on. Yeah. He's really a driver that he doesn't save his best lap for qualifying. No, he saves his best lap for the last lap of the race.
Ooh.
Yeah, Tython's not very boasty. He just gets in there. He's very silent, and then all of a sudden you just see that guy fill in your mirror as Oracle lets him go. I think through there. They got a little bit of contact. But, you know,
that was a little bit more of a fight than he would have anticipated.
Yeah, I think he was hoping Oracle would bend over a little more for him, and he didn't. But yeah,
but now Tython in 2nd. He doesn't have the pressure of MVP, who's sitting in 5th right now. He was the one that he was fighting with earlier. So while MVP is trying to gain background all the way up to the top 3, because we know he's fast as well, Tython, it's open air right now between him and Vanquish. So very much right on what you're saying. He could make a run all the way up to Vanquish.
And he just cleared Reno for 4th.
Yep.
Unfortunately, none of those guys were able to take any advantage of that restart. They weren't able to get past Vanquish and try and run away from him. He got out front. He just did not let anything stop him. Leading by quite a bit now.
Now the field very spread out. And here in a little bit soon, maybe in about a lap or so, could have lap traffic in store for Vanquish, as there's only about a turn and a half separation between him and Back in Black.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be scared when he sees Joey. You know, he's not gonna bend over for him. Vanquish is gonna fill that mirror, and Jody's just gonna be doing everything he can to hold him back. I don't think he has anything for him though. I think after that wreck, he's just gonna be kind of running his race, hoping for a caution. I mean, I believe the interval is over already, so cautions should be active. It's just I don't think anyone's really close enough where we'll see a wreck for a while.
Well, there was a good little blanket there for a little bit between 6th through 9th. Them four were really close, but right now it looks like Cammy and D-Dog are the closest two together right now.
Yeah, they might have something happen. I just don't think any of those guys are really. I mean, unless they start racing like they were earlier. I think they've started to calm down a bit. They're starting to get in their groove. As the race goes on, those nerves at the start to settle. Oh, his D-Dog goes off a bit. Oh,
Maybe his nerves not settled quite yet.
I think he's just pushing. He's hoping he can get into that. He's not liking sitting on the outside right now. He wants to try and pass all those guys. He knows he's faster, and he's just hoping he can try and work his way through.
Yeah, D-Dog, he has a fairly healthy gap in the point standings right now, but we know him. He's a former champion of the series, and he very much can be a top 5 driver, especially at road courses, not just ovals. So, D-Dog, maybe he feels like he can get a little more out of his car.
I think you'll start to see those kind of guys make more mistakes when they're in the back because they know they can be up there, and it's irking them that they could be in the top 5, but right now they're running way worse than they should be. I've had that happen a lot at road courses where I'm running back and I just start burning the rear tires off because you know you could be that top guy or fighting for a top 5 finish and you're running 9th.
Yeah, and now's the time to work on your line, get more consistent, and trying to make the least amount of mistakes as possible.
Now top 3, back to the same 3 drivers, just a little bit of a different order. MVP has gotten around Oracle, and now MVP is going to try and run down Tython, but there is a little bit of a gap there. As Tython, I don't believe he's actually been making ground on Vanquish, but he's kind of stayed even.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be making much ground on him, unfortunately. I think the only way he does is if Vanquish... Oh, a bit of a lockup by Tython there, I think.
Yep.
But I don't think you're going to make much ground on him. He's just so fast, and he's so consistent, too. He just keeps running those incredibly fast lap times every lap, and you just can't do anything about it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens here, but I think the only way somebody else other than Vanquish takes it if either he makes a big mistake or we have a late race caution and somebody decides they want to win more than he does and they knock him out of the way.
Or he lags out.
Or he
There's
lags out.
that.
as these Forza servers get more unstable, it gets more and more concerning. Could you lag out? I've had races where there's cars dropping off left and right and you're wondering who's next. I myself, I fell victim to that a lot last season than here. I had a couple of races where I was running really good, and it's just all of a sudden going into a corner, you see everyone else go straight, and it's like, oh no, please tell me that they wrecked and it wasn't lag, and then all of a sudden you're out of the race.
I am fortunate that I haven't had to deal with anything like that. My biggest issue I've had is where at Homestead, my steering wheel turned off all of a sudden coming out of turn 2. And luckily I had my controller right next to me and oh god, turn it on. Okay, we're good. Didn't hit the wall. We're good.
Oh, Vanquish getting into back and black because now he's with him.
Yeah.
Vanquish, he just bumped him out of the way.
Yeah.
He wasn't waiting.
He was not waiting. He was, I'm not going to deal with you.
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't give Jody an inch. I would knock him out of the way, especially at a track like this where he's never going to catch you again. You get rid of him now as he goes and smashes into the wall. That's what I'm saying. With some of the... If you're a lap down at a track where it's 2 seconds a lap, I don't think you'd want to be close to those lap cars. Because they are a different breed. But yeah...
Back in black, running the 9 scheme, he's trying to be Chase Elliott's replacement driver.
I don't think...
Instead of Josh Berry.
I don't think he's going to make it. I saw the picture they used for Josh Berry in the, you know, they have those promos of the drivers, little cartoony drawings. It looked like they had shaved the eyebrows like Chase Elliott and they called it Josh Berry. It did not look quite like Josh Berry, but at least they tried.
Now, looking like a lot of people catching back in black.
Still at 20. I don't think we've lost anyone out of the race to lag quite yet. Yeah, it's still a full 18, so we haven't lost anyone. You talk about wood, you know. Hopefully we don't lose anyone.
The thing with lap cars with me in the past is I always was nervous getting near them because they're unpredictable. You don't know if they're going to lock their brakes behind you or if they're going to check up early or, I mean, you got to have your head on a swivel.
Oh yeah.
Now the path becoming very spread out now as a couple drivers went into pit road. And we are at the halfway mark in the race, so as if you see a couple guys going to pit now, are you thinking about pitting? Are you thinking about, even though we just pitted around 8 laps ago,
I don't.
maybe is that something going through you guys' heads?
There's still those people that are on that alternate stretch, although I don't think there's many left. I think quite a few of them got wrecked on that restart, so there's still some of those guys. You'll see guys like Panda, I think, hasn't pitted yet, so they'll be jumping in pit road here in a lap or two. But I mean, if you're one of those guys, you're probably going to be saving, maybe clutching it a little bit on entry to corners, trying to get a little bit more out of the car before you pit, so you can get those fresher tires. That's at least what I'd be trying to do, because these guys, like Vanquish, they're going to be making time for no matter what, so you may as well try and have the better tires, so when they're slipping and sliding at the end, you might have a little more grip, and maybe you get lucky with one of them, they make a mistake, you cut your way through, and you can walk away with a better finish.
I think what I would do is, if I'm not too far behind Vanquish and not going to be worried about getting lapped, I'd go in pits now, so that maybe you'll catch a caution and you'll have track position. You'll be right up at the front, and they'll have to, and if they wait, they'll have to be going in the pits.
Oracle and Reno. Oracle and Reno, speaking of, yeah, they just went into pit road.
I think the only problem is just with such a big track and they're so spread out, it's going to be really hard to count on that caution. It's not like an oval race where I can guarantee you there'll be a caution. It's so, if I was the crew chief side of this thing, I don't think I'd want to risk that. I'd want to push it as far as I can, get the pressure tires, and I can push longer for harder for longer. Oh, a Sonic goes off.
Pit road as well.
Sonic went off as Vanquish passed him. That was close.
Panda's in the pits.
If anyone watching, if you want to go get a drink, maybe bring us some drinks. There's not much going on at this point in the race. You know, the pit cycle goes through. We're just kind of riding around. I mean, maybe we'll get a bit of caution here and shake things up.
Well, through the pit cycle and during a more calm, no one's really near each other right now. As I say that, a car goes off track. I don't know who that is.
There's a bit of a battle here, 12th through 13th. Culture trying to make a pass on Panda.
Subsonic who went off the track.
Ready to go off again. Yeah, that rookie's been struggling quite a bit. I saw him at Homestead. He just doesn't quite know what's going on yet. He's going to need a bit of work to catch up. I think he's going to need somebody to go into a practice session with him and just teach him some stuff. He's just struggling. This is a real hard track to be, like, what, I think it's his 3rd start? That's a really hard track to start on. He's gone to, I think it was Miami Rain road course. Oh,
yeah, that was
Panda forced to Smokey.
Yeah, Panda just knocked Smokey right off. Panda taking no prisoners.
Not sure if Smokey will appreciate that.
I don't think Smokey can do much about it now.
Yep.
Smokey, as he said, quote, Smokey during practice, I am the fastest last place driver.
I mean, he's here. He always seems to qualify. So I guess you can say that.
Yeah.
He got a win in here before I did, so I can't say much about him.
Ooh, smart.
Oh, Culture goes off a little bit, battling with Panda. They're fighting hard. I wouldn't be fighting too hard if I were him. This is 13th and 12th position. I mean, there's not much point. Just save your stuff and hope for a caution if you're those guys. I mean, who's ahead of them? Let's see.
The biggest thing is to be smart about it. Don't put yourself in a bad position.
Well, they're hitting each other. They're getting really wobbly.
Yeah.
I would be really worried trying to fight like that. You know, whoever's faster. Oh, Subsonic's parked by pit road. He might have damage and he can't get up the hill. That's one of the biggest problems with this track.
And he's already over a lap down. Yeah, he's got damage.
Not helping his situation here.
What's going on in the rest of the pack? Let's see where Titan is.
Titan currently sitting second.
Oh,
Now the top
MVP's
three,
catching
they've
up.
kind of gapped. Yeah,
MVP's
now, but
catching
they've
up.
kind of gapped. They've
They
kind of
have.
gapped the rest of the
Vanquish has done
field.
his
So,
usual disappearing act, and he's long gone.
yeah.
So, it might heat up here between MVP and Titan. MVP crawled his way back up. We couldn't see him quite a few laps to go, but he's up there now, so this is going to start to get interesting. We're also starting to get
but now to pit road.
Oh,
MVP to pit road.
yeah, I was just about to say, this is going to be the point where these guys can start thinking, do they want to pit? It's been about 5 laps since all the people that had that other strategy, their tires that expired, and they had to come in. So they might start making their choices of when they want to pit. They can go a fair bit longer than what they're at right now. So it's going to be interesting to see when Titan pits, when Vanquish pits.
So where everyone is right now, less likely chance of a caution. Not many people near each other. And a lot of people just making their pit cycles. So I think it's time to introduce you two to something that we haven't done in a while in the XRS broadcast. Let's do a crank it up. It's simple. I'm just going to be away. Okay? I'll be away. But if something goes on, you two can go ahead and take over.
Alrighty. Have fun on your little break.
All right.
Don't have too much fun without us. And your second place driver has gone to pit road, Titan, taking those tires. Probably going to see Vanquish come in shortly.
Vanquish is going in.
Yeah, that'll. Oh, Panda! What happened to Panda? Panda might have just spun himself. Oh, he's still going. He just got real sideways. Him and Culture, they're starting to heat up again. They're going to start knocking each other around for that 12th position again. Actually, they're starting to get a bit more grouped together from about 10th through 13th. They're starting to have a bit of a pack form up, so that might get interesting. There's also Reno is right ahead of Panda, so that could, if Panda can try and pass him, that could really help him in the playoffs.
Yeah, Cam and D-Dog were going at it a few laps before, and I had checked up on Vanquish, and next thing I know, Cam was lost a few positions. I don't know if he got in the grass and lost some time or what happened, but
Might have
he
been
lost
another
a
sim
couple spots.
twitch.
Yeah,
He struggles a lot with that sim twitching that often. If you watch him in races, that a lot of times what ends him. He's on a lot of those esports teams, which end up telling him to do certain things, and that ends up costing him because he's trying to copy.
oh, yep.
Those are a lot of the things that hurt drivers. Is what steering do you use? If you either go with sim and it's faster steering, but you could easily wreck yourself, or you go with standard steering, which is slower and might not be able to go as quickly at some tracks, but it's much safer, especially when you're in a point setting like this.
Oh my goodness. Panda and Culture go right around esports.
Oh yeah, they got a tight little pack going on there. That's another spot for Panda. They're really crawling.
Yeah, and about
Oh, lockups!
couple lockups. Esports completely missed the corner.
What off. He might have been trying not to hit them potentially and just let the car roll off track. Really close racing there. Check up on Kart Racer. Not much going on around him. They're still really spread out through a lot of the field. Not much battling going on.
Closest is between Panda and Culture right now.
Subsonic, oh Jesus.
Panda's base.
Every time
Go ahead.
Subsonic goes, oh, he's wrecking. Final straightaway, Subsonic around, he just crashed. They might need to park him. He's been having a lot of trouble. Every time someone gets close to him, he ends up going off, hitting a wall, and almost taking them with him. It almost happened when Vanquish lapped him earlier.
Oh my gosh, right in front of Panda. That might have gave Panda some damage right there.
Oh no.
He pulled right in front of Panda.
They might need to park him. This is getting a bit wild. He was struggling a lot at Homestead too. I think that might.
Panda's got full aero, suspension, brake damage. It says steering and driveline damage, but he didn't go in the pits.
Hit. Oh, that's going to be a massive mistake. He should have went in that first lap. He is. Ooh, that's going to hurt him. Hopefully he doesn't wreck the thing going into this corner. He might not know he has the damage. Oh, I don't think he did. Oh. Okay, he didn't wreck it. I thought he might have gone in way too deep. That's going to hurt Panda a lot. He's going to have to hope. Unless they're giving him a caution, they might have cautioned it for him. Because he has damage.
Yep. And he's just waiting until everyone punches back up.
That'll shake this race up a lot. That'll give guys like Python and MVP a chance to pass Vanquish. Major implications with that. That could change this whole race.
Yep.
I haven't noticed Vanquish slowed down yet. I mean, maybe he's going to slow down when he hits the line. Yep. Caution is out. That changes everything. 16. I think Reno might have just pitted. Yeah, he did. Reno pitted just as that caution came out. Maybe did he potentially get damaged or something?
I don't know. I didn't see anything.
His car is really smashed up. If you look at the windows, they're all broken.
Oh, he's way in the back now. Yeah, something must have happened.
Yeah, this could really shake up because now that both Reno and Panda look like they've been involved in incidents, that could really shake up how that playoff situation goes. They've been having terrible races between the two of them. They just seem to keep getting worse and worse as the race goes on. Something just keeps on happening to those two.
Yep, and for most drivers, you've pitted, you got your fuel. I mean, you don't really need tires anymore. You're not going that far, so most people aren't gonna go in the pits.
We still do have a fair way to go.
Well, what timing this brings.
Hello there. Welcome back.
General Kenobi.
We're under caution.
We are.
This could be very interesting now. This could potentially
What's
drag
that, under
Vanquish
red?
in. He might. Some of those guys they pitted a few laps ago. They might be interested in getting more
under red.
tires. Are we under red?
We are under red.
Yeah.
They might ask.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ask Subsonic to park because he was being very. He was being very reckless there with that.
Yeah. What I believe caused the caution was Subsonic wrecked himself on a wall somewhere right after the kink, and he pulled up right onto the racing surface right as Coulter and Panda caught him, and Panda just ran right in the back of Subsonic.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where they might have to say something, either parking him or doing something, because it's getting to the point where he's causing he's almost caused a few incidents. When Vanquish and Titan lapped him, he nearly wrecked those two going through the kink. You know, we understand he's learning, but there's a point where it might have to say, okay, maybe we park for today, and you go back to the drawing board, get some more practice for next week, because we do not want a major crash happening.
Yeah, and you can also, you're trying to stay out of the leader's way or lead lap car's way. If you're trying so hard to get out of people's way, you could become a hazard at the same time. You got to be predictable. Just, if anything, just hold the racing line and just run the normal line and let everyone else go around you.
Or even try to wait to a spot where there's a bit of runoff and you can go way out of your way and just let them through. Like there's a lot of straightaways. You could easily let someone go on a straightaway. Lots of ways to do it without hurting yourself and without causing massive wrecks like that. That did not need to happen at all. What happened there?
We'll try to get a reasoning here on why the red flag was actually displayed. Because most of the field has been gathered up now, and the last driver that we're waiting on is Subsonic.
Is he? Oh, potentially. I guess they're not going to park him. They're going to let him keep racing.
He just came out of turn 3.
Yeah, somebody will have to take him into a session and teach him some things. He's very inexperienced.
Now red flag's been lifted, back to caution conditions.
Yeah, and that all takes time. It took me a few years to get good or competitive in Forza. Granted, it was a little easier for me than others, but it does take time to gain the skill, gain the knowledge, and the know-how to be able to run good and consistently.
Yeah, I remember for me, road courses were very difficult when I first started. When I joined this league, I was not too far on road courses. I remember coming to a Watkins Glen race, I was 20th. I was just struggling to keep the tires under me. It was just such a foreign thing. So I can understand being struggling, but he's getting to that is way worse than most. I mean, he's struggling to keep the car on the racing surface almost every lap, and then pulling out in front of people after he's wrecked. Definitely going to need some work on that.
At that point, that could be unsafe driving. He has, I believe last week he received a warning for, or 2 weeks ago he might have received a warning for unsafe driving. So with a warning already on your, there, I don't want to say on your record, but a warning already that pretty much in your tenure on the season, you can't afford to make another minor mistake because you already have a warning. So that might lead to a points penalty there.
Wasn't a driver parked at the start of the season and he was only allowed to participate in practice sessions until he got to a point where he was able to properly race, I believe?
That, I believe, is Diamond Foxy. Diamond Foxy, we told him you're not allowed to race, but you can attend the practice sessions. You can do whatever you can to pretty much put yourself in a better position to where you're not as unsafe driver on track. Oh, top guy's going to pit road. Titan stays out.
Oh yeah, there we go. Titan and Vanquish stay out, I think.
I'm surprised. I would have stayed out.
Never mind, Vanquish went in. I guess my thing's deceiving me. Titan probably is hoping with Vanquish he'll get stuck in traffic and he can run away. Because I believe I don't know if we might be able to go green this time by with how big this track is. So most likely, Titan he'll have 6 laps to go, 7 laps.
Yeah, because by the time we get restarted, they're going to start lap 25, and then. But thinking about it, when we had that first caution back at lap 7, when we had that yellow, that restart was kind of hectic. And Vanquish was able to make way and pretty much put himself back into that top 3 very, very quickly.
That is true, but you also got to look at the level of drivers we have at the front this time. We got Titan, we have Tomato, Off-Road. These are a lot more experienced drivers than we had the first time around, so I don't think it'll be as likely that we have a large stack up, at least at the very front. There might be more calamity in the middle, but I don't think we're going to have, I don't think you can rely on a big crash at the start this time. Those guys are experienced, they know not to push it, and especially having 2 teammates on the front row like that, they're not going to wreck each other. It's going to be those guys in the second row potentially making a mistake. Off-road, maybe, he hasn't been up there. He might get a little antsy.
I wouldn't be too worried about the guys in front. I'd be more worried about the guys behind. Because, like, for Vanquish, if someone doesn't brake for turn 1 in time, you can get mowed over and race done.
Oh yeah, so I would be much more worried in his position.
That's why I would have stayed out, so I wouldn't have to deal with that trouble. And, I mean, at this point, the tires aren't going to matter all too much, because you're not going to feel them for the first 10, 12 laps. About 15 laps in a run or so, you'll start to feel the tires wear out. But right now, I think track position is more important than anything else.
By the way, we did just got an update on the reason for the red flag condition, and it was simply to allow the field to catch back up without burning laps.
Those tires might help for 2 laps, I believe, because the pressures will be low. They'll be in that optimal zone where they give you a lot of grip. So I think he might make a lot of time initially, and then those tires will even out really fast. Because Titan's tires aren't old enough where he's going to be losing much time. I think this isn't a big difference in tire like it was at the start. They had, I think, 8 laps difference. This is more like 5. So I don't think we're at the point where those tires will show much difference between each other. But maybe at the end of the run, Vanquish might be able to do a late charge as Titan's tires wear out, but I don't think Titan's too worried. I think he's just thinking about running away, trying to stretch out a gap and hope that he can close this thing off at the end.
So drivers, big pressure here. Could potentially be the last restart of the race. Any last thoughts?
It's gonna be a wild restart. You gotta hope that you don't get caught up in whatever goes on. Titan's hoping that they all wreck behind him and he can run away.
And Vanquish is going to be super aggressive because he's got to get around these cars as quick as possible to make sure that the leaders don't pull away too far.
Oh man, green flag in the air.
Kart racer here.
Oh, no, already
kart
wrecking.
racer here. Oh,
Reno.
Reno,
really
Coulter,
sideways.
he was off track. He hit a sign.
Did anyone spin? I think we're okay.
Don't think anybody spun.
Titan's already getting a bit of a gap here. Oh, there's somebody.
Oh, off-road!
Off-road's
Spinning at the
around.
front of the field! D-Dog going wide as well, Smokey and
Big
others.
spin. Oh my god, they're wrecking. Vanquish already up to third. I think
That's
Tomato
a
got involved. That was a big crash. All of the cars that were in between got wrecked.
That's what Vanquish wanted. And the two leaders did not want to see that. Vanquish is now right behind them. And he's...
Oh, give it a tap to kart racer.
He's
Michael
gonna
spin him
bully
wide.
him out.
MVP there as well.
Oh, somebody else is on track back there.
Yeah, another driver off, turn 3.
Turn the favor.
Oh, yep, Cart's giving it to him. He's going to send
Still
it back
there.
down that
Cart's
inside. He's
trying.
going to try it.
He's gonna let him.
back
Oh,
off.
oh,
Man, I can't believe he let him through after getting hit like that. I would have thought he would have nailed him.
Ooh, MVP.
Yeah,
Force his way
diving
past.
inside. Yep, got himself through.
Cart's being too lenient. He should have forced the issue there. We're too late in the race for even give. You gotta make moves. You gotta be forceful.
He had that
Now
position.
now you know Titan's sweating bullets. He's running hot lap after hot lap after hot lap.
Titan can keep... Titan's fast enough where I think he might be able to hold it as long as he doesn't screw up. That's the whole thing.
It's a big track, and with the amount of laps left, you just quite never know.
Oh, he's got to set perfect qualifying laps right now. You got to keep as much distance between you and Vanquish as possible. You do not want to make any mistakes.
Yeah, you can hear him playing with that throttle. He's trying to squeeze every little bit of power out of that motor. He's trying to push those corners as fast as possible. He does not want to give up time. He's got enough gap where he can afford to lose a little bit per lap, but I mean we're on 26 of 31. You know we've got a fair bit of time.
And now at the line, that time it's a 2.5 second gap that Vanquish needs to try and make up in that time frame. With as fast as Vanquish is, he will inevitably catch him. But
it
is
depends on
Titan
how
going to
hard
be
he
able to
can
push
it.
enough?
The question is,
Yeah,
you
is
know,
Titan going to be able to push hard enough?
with 2.5 seconds, that's a big gap. You know, he's going to start to get into that situation. It's like it's now or never. I gotta go, and that's when drivers make a lot of mistakes. You know, he is very calm and very calculated, but
Oh, there's a mistake.
oh, Tomato off track. He got on the brakes way too late. Stack up in front of him. He's off in the mud. Oh, that's gonna hurt Tomato. He's down. Yeah, he's
Smokey as well,
Smokey
spinning in turn
wrecked.
3. Yep, Smokey spun.
no damage to
The
either
short
of them,
shoot
though.
between 2 and 3.
Oh, that sucks
Or
for
between
Tomato.
3
He's
and 4,
down to
sorry.
9th already.
No, back to 14th
Yeah.
he goes now.
I think he's lying to me. It said he was in 9th. He did that to me
Never
earlier.
a good idea. Never a good idea to look at the ticker at the top, as it does take a while
Yeah.
to update.
Yeah, it lied to me. It said he was in 9th that whole. I was like, there's no way, because he kept losing spots and it kept saying 9th. There's a lot of signs on that final straightaway. If you look, that could become an issue.
Yeah. Ooh, Cam. Cam on the backstretch, loose, spinning around. He goes.
Oh, that's a big hit for Cam. That's no good. Oh, he might roll. Oh, he's gonna roll into the track. He's trying to find a spot where he can roll around. Oh, Edwards off track.
Oh,
He's wrecking.
Edwards off.
Two cars. Oh, I think Cam's AFK.
Ooh.
He just rolled through the track. Cam is AFK.
He... Controller disconnect potentially?
Potentially,
Alright.
I had
Walked
that
off.
happen in.
He rolled all the way. Now he's against the tire barrier in the runoff.
I have had that happen where, when your controller disconnects, it locks the e-brake, which could have spun him out. The weird thing that happened. That's a shame.
Weird, yeah, very weird scenario.
It had to have disconnected, because why would he have kept... He would have tried to spin himself around
Yeah,
and
no.
keep going by now. That's really... Oh, he's back going again. That's really unfortunate for Cam.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And now with that, I believe not even a win at Daytona will help his situation.
Yeah.
He could be eliminated from playoff contention.
A win might get him in. Panda has a bad day, but it's going to be hard.
Vanquish is sitting 1.8 seconds behind the leader.
So he made up around 4/10 in just one lap.
It's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him, boys. I think I still got my money on Titan. He might be able to hold him off here.
Gotta be a moving chicane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Top 5 looking evenly spread out so far. Really, the closest cars to each other are all the way back to 10th and 11th, being Off-Road and Tomato.
Oh, Panda and Reno, they're 7th and 8th. That situation's heating up for that spot.
Panda, I'm sure, in a better position than he thought. I mean, we talked with him earlier today. He said he's really struggling trying to keep the car under him on the surface, and with him on road courses, he has an average finish of 10th this season, so just outside the top 10. Him sitting at 7th, he is performing better than his average finish so far this season. So
well, he's also in the new car with that Toyota. It's going to change a lot of the minor handling changes between each car. That's going to really offset him. I know they did some work to the Toyota too, and after finding out it was slower, so potentially that could have changed something in how the car feels for some drivers. But
ooh, Vanquish went off track a little bit trying to catch Titan.
That's what I was saying earlier, that he's going to be pushing so hard trying to keep up. Wouldn't be surprised if something happens.
But now it's less than a second gap. Titan locked up a little bit in 3.
Missed the apex a little bit.
Yep, missed it. Both of them did a little bit. Vanquish wide as well.
They're coming to 3 to go at the end of this lap, so it'll be... the closer he gets, the more I don't know. Titan's holding strong, but I think he might just be getting a little too nervous. And also, Vanquish is just so fast.
You're gonna have to start covering that inside once he gets up to you. Make him go the long way around.
Whoa! Vanquish very loose.
I think that might have been a bit of
he's pushing it a lot.
That was definitely, you can tell his car's loose. Both of them are loose.
They're using up as much of the track, as much as their tires, as much as they can.
I remember, Vanquish has newer tires.
He does have those new tires. True. They are getting to the point, like I was saying earlier, where those tires will start to become, they aren't to the point where they start to get tighter and harder to, more sloppy. He hasn't quite gotten to that point where I think Titan has. So maybe within the next lap, Vanquish will get there and they'll start to even out. It'll be interesting to see.
Vanquish really settling in though. He's right on the bumper of Titan.
I think
Can you get a better run down the straightaway?
Make a move.
He's either got to pinch him down to the wall. Not going to do that.
No,
gotta do that.
3 to go.
You have to plan to do a crossover right here.
Side by side in the 1. Vanquish.
Oh, nope, he's going to try and hold the outside.
Nope, he's going to drive it hard.
Yep. Oh, he goes wide. Oh!
He goes wide, stays even with him, though. This
open.
corner, not much room on that outside to work with. Vanquish goes through.
Oh, he almost got loose. They both got a little bit loose on that. Oh, Tyson, I think, has used up his stuff. He's starting to... He faded a lot. I think he pushed in way too deep, and he had to give it up. He knew he couldn't hold on.
Not really in distance to dive. He's really putting it in there. Unless a mistake comes out of Vanquish, because Vanquish now he still needs to defend for another 2 laps and a half.
All Vanquish has to do is hit his marks, and he'll be good.
Yeah, I don't
think he knows he's faster, has fresher tires.
Yeah, it's pretty much a done deal for him unless something happens. I mean, I think we're within the point where they won't call it caution no matter what happens. I mean, unless the entire field somehow gets collected in a massive crash, there is no way that a caution comes out. So I think Titans just gotta hold on and just hope something happens. I mean, you never know, there could be a lag out at the very end.
It's happened to Vanquish once before. I believe it happened at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, where Vanquish was leading, and he lagged out on the costing him the victory there. He made up for it, obviously, but plenty of other victories on the season. Oh, Subsonic pulled off at the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, he might have. Oh, he's still running though. He's cruising along again.
He's still running.
I think he's just having a lot of trouble. I think this track was a bit more than he knew it would be. It's just such a change. I mean, Homestead Alt is a bit easier of a road course. Not that it's easy in the rain. It's only got, I think, 5 corners on it. This is a 2 minute a lap. I think 15 corners. Monster. Like, this was a big change. I think he was not prepared at all for what this was going to do.
Yeah, this is a lot more of a technical track than what others are.
Yeah, he's not, but I think he's just trying to finish. He just wants to say he made it the distance. He doesn't want to put up much of a fight anymore. He's not even full throttle, I don't think. Oh, he might become a lap car here in a second. That could become a scary situation if he didn't see Vanquish coming. Hopefully he just gets out of the way this time and maybe just parks.
Well, don't believe there's really enough time for them to catch.
With him not going full throttle, I think they'll catch him really quick.
That's right.
If you watch him,
Kart Racer and Oracle fighting inside the top 10. Oracle slid a little bit, and Kart is able to clear him.
Ooh, man.
But here, with what you were saying, Rocket, he is approaching the pit lane, and if he is damaged in any way, he might go in. Here, no, he does not.
I think he's just giving up. I think he just doesn't want to. He's not enjoying this anymore. He wants to go do something else after this.
Well, we approach the final lap of the race. Vanquish, the man who started first, still in first.
Tithan's still there. He can do something.
Tithan.
Tithan's actually getting a bit closer, I think. I think he's reeled him in just a touch. Vanquish might have stepped back a little bit.
That could have been Vanquish just going on cruise mode, on cruise control after he's gotten around him.
Yeah, he doesn't have to push no more, so he can just lay off a little bit, just not make mistakes.
His tires could have also finally evened out with Titans just a little too late, unfortunately. I mean, you never know. He could make a mistake. Ooh, Titan pushing those braking zones. He's making time. He's catching them just a little bit.
We'll see. Around a half a lap to go.
He's close enough where anything, even the slightest mistake, Titan might be able to pounce on him. Oh, there's Subsonic.
He might come to play. Oh, he's falling
Oh,
off.
he's just pulled it off.
No.
Yep, he's just off.
Oh.
Nope. We're good. We're good.
My
We're good.
God. Ooh, that was
Titan went wide
He just came to a
Subsonic
stop.
was there.
that was good of Titan to know that that Subsonic was parked and moved out of the way. That could have been catastrophic.
I don't think that was really Subsonic's fault. Titan just went a little wide and he was there.
Yeah, I think the problem is just they've been abusing that runoff section so much that Subsonic just picked not the best spot to park so close to the edge. He probably should have pulled a little further in, but Titan thought he made an adjustment. Thankfully, he didn't lose much time, and it looks, coming off the final corner, it looks like Vanquish will be your winner. Again.
Rounding off the last turn, was fastest in practice, dominated most of the race. Here at the end, needing to rebuttal. He started first. He's going to finish first. Vanquish wins at Road America.
He put on a clinic, even if I would have preferred a closer race. He did everything right to win that thing. Oh, fight for
What
him.
happened at the checkered flag?
Edwards.
Tython
Oh.
and MVP straight away.
Ray's. Oh, there's a fight for 10th place. Ray's is gonna get through. He's gonna lead. Whew, they were under a blanket fight for 10th place. A K2 machine getting a top 10, bouncing back after a big mess at Miami. The bright pink car makes a bit of a return.
So as it looks like right now, rounding off your top 10 is Vanquish, Tython, MVP, Kart Racer, Oracle, D-Dog, Tomato, Panda, Reno, and Ray's Peasant. Now, obviously, if the order did get bobbled around, XRS officials will handle that, making sure the grid order is in the correct order.
Real bad runs.
Looking back here.
Cam and Culture haven't even reached the line yet. Culture might not make it, depending on how long they've got the timer for.
There's still over 2 minutes left, so there's
Oh,
enough
did they
for
put a
one more
bunch of
lap
time?
to be ran.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he might not make it.
Yeah, so we've backed out to the menu, or to the lobby, now that the top 10 have finished. We'll just wait for the official race to end, and then we will get our top 3 in here. Now, with us having 3 broadcasters in this booth, I will interview the winner. You two can fight for who's interviewing second and third.
Alright, I'll bug good old Ethan. I'll mess with him a little bit.
Well, Tython, he usually doesn't accept post-race
Aw,
interviews,
come on,
so-
I'm gonna message him. I'm gonna tell him he better show up. He better show up or else I'm gonna give him hell.
Yeah, Tython, he has declined all of his post-race interviews this season so far. And if anything happens, anything goes, we could bring in 4th place.
Kart racer.
We could bring in Cart. If you guys wish to have 3 people to talk to.
Yeah, I don't. May as well, you know.
Yep.
Give our loyal viewers something to see after the race. Tyson better come in here. Come on, I gotta bug him a little bit for losing.
Wow, really taking a lot of time to finish the race. Race timer's still going.
I think it's just subsonic. He's just so.
Might be just him, yes.
He-
There's 30 seconds left. Either way, if he DNFs, he still receives points.
He's in the
Oh.
pit lane. He said no.
Tython said no.
Hold on, I'm gonna keep bugging him.
There we go. There's the official race end timer.
Better get in here, man. Come on.
Race timer's kind of stuck at a second. Either way. There we go.
There it goes.
There we go. We're good now. So, I'll send Vanquish his invite. And then I'll
Sent Tyson about 10 of them.
MVP his invite. Then I'll send Tython one. I'll send him one.
Come on. Stubborn Titan.
I sent him one. If there's no response from Tython, then
I guess you'll have to get someone else. I bugged him. I don't think he's coming.
Alright, then I'll get Kart Racer in here so then we have a third person to talk to. Alright, those of you who've joined, make sure you have the audio box checked off in the party.
Is the torches club? It's good, it's good. For the
Vanquish
nerds.
MVP Kart, you guys good? All connected?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we actually took part?
Yeah, Titan refused, unfortunately. I
Yeah,
was trying to get him to come in here.
Titan always refuses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So Tython he declined, but we have 3 broadcasters, so might as well have 3 people to talk to. So we were going to bring in 4th place finisher, Kart Racer, Sundee, Rocket. You guys can pick who interviews who.
Yeah, I'll take Kart.
And okay, Sundee takes Kart, Rocket takes MVP, and I'll take Vanquish. So Sundee, go away.
Oh, Kurt, you were able to qualify up in the top 5 in the beginning of the race. What was your strategy there going into the race?
Run consistently. Ironically, not trying to be fast, just run consistent, and
Yeah.
try to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, consistently is key at the road courses. Trying to stay up front and whatnot. But it seemed like you're up and down a lot during the race. You're up front for a while, then you be involved in an incident or something, and then you get pushed back outside the top 10. Were you ever worried whenever you got pushed back that you'd be able to make it up back to the front?
Probably, I'd say after that second, I think it was after that second restart, or maybe the first restart that we did, and we had that long green flag run. That was a little bit worrying, only because we were all so spread out. I didn't know if anyone would catch back up.
Yeah, and after that last restart, did you think you had a good chance at possibly getting the win or fighting Vanquish there? I know there's that big wreck that happened. Were you worried on that restart that you might have been possibly involved in a wreck, or?
Worried about getting wrecked, definitely. Getting the win, not so much. I knew my pace was nowhere near Tython's or Vanquish's or MVP's. I was hoping to hold on to so what I got 4th. I was hoping to get a 3rd, but that didn't happen. Oh, well.
Anyways, good race cart and good top 5 finish there.
Thank you.
Alright, MVP, you had a good run, you qualified 2nd, kind of slipped back to 3rd there for a while. How do you feel like you could have done better there? You know, that your pit strategy didn't seem to work out the way you hoped.
I mean, it was just another race. Titan just had better consistency. I just like right out the gate. I wasn't expecting like that big of a challenge to the moment the flag dropped, but hey, he was more consistent. Strategy wise, other than me and Vanquish both decided to pit on that last caution, I think my strategy was fine. It's just at the end of the day, it's a road course. I just try to have fun, especially when I know Vanquish is here, because unless he's not here, I'm not winning.
Well, you had a great run there. You tried for a long time to try and get Titan, just not quite close enough. Good job up there.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now we move on to the winner, Vanquish. Now, you're in that double digits in the win category, Vanquish. Coming into this race, obviously healthy in the standings. No need to really worry about any playoff implications of any of that from your perspective. But able to pull off, fastest in practice, qualified on pole, and then during the race you ran a 2-minute, 3-second, and 4/10 lap time. So very consistent, very fast. But there at the end, you needed to catch back up to that lead spot. So what was going through your mind when you needed to go back and catch up to Tython, coming to especially that 3-4 lap to go mark?
Yeah, I was kind of panicking, but I was saying it in the party. I was like, he's probably won. There's nothing I could do, and then he made a few mistakes, and then I put my head down and did better laps. I did a 2:02.8, one lap, and yeah, got up to him.
So being able to pretty much making yourself consistent, because obviously catching him, you're obviously pushing your car and you don't want to make the mistake yourself. But capitalizing off of Tython's mistakes there, being able to get around him. What was your strategy looking like for pit-wise? You going in, you chose to go in at different times compared to others. Maybe you were just trying to get better tires, or what exactly was going through your head for strategy tonight?
No, I just pit whenever my hands get tired. That's basically it. I don't really have a strategy. I just base it off everybody else. To be honest, I don't practice how many laps the car does. I don't know how long it can go or anything. I just jump in it and drive and hope for the best.
By the way, very dominant performance today, and good luck to you for the rest of the season, and because now playoffs coming up next few weeks, so very much exciting getting towards the end of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
And now we will come to an end and begin to wrap up tonight's broadcast. First off, I would like to thank Rocket and Sundee, both of you. Thank you for joining me in the booth tonight in AK's absence. Any bit of takes from tonight, being able to be in the booth, different experience from what you guys are used to?
At some points, I kind of wish I was driving a car. It gets a little boring watching sometimes, but we made the most of it. We had a good time up here. Quite enjoyed having me up here, messing with you guys a little bit.
Yeah, it was cool watching the race for once instead of being in it. A lot less stressful up here in the booth, that's for sure.
And a lot less stressful.
A lot less stressful, but hey,
I get to watch the wreck got me in it.
By the way, very cool experience, I'm sure, for you guys. There's different perspectives, and thank you for being here along for the ride.
Call me anytime.
Maybe in the future, we'll have you guys in some sort of media aspect. Oh, speaking of Rocket, you're going to be in a media aspect soon.
Come watch me in their wheel-to-wheel podcast on Wednesday.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just a little bit of a plug-in at the end there. Maybe come watch me on a podcast and I can rant about racing for a while.
Yeah, well, can't wait for that. But once again, thank you for both of you being here in the booth tonight. As now we wrap up race 17 on the XRS season, only one more race to go. Once the points have been decided and after all the standings and penalties get sorted out through, they will be posted to our Instagram page. Make sure to follow us there for all the news and updates. Make sure to still continuously check out our Twitch page and follow if you haven't already for full highlights and race replays. Speaking of race replays, head over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which has full XRS replays and repeated episodes of the XRS Wheel to Wheel podcast. Already 2 episodes in, gonna get a 3rd episode in next week.
Points are up now.
For now, it's so long from Road America. We will see you at Daytona next week, and we'll see who's in, who's out to determine a fight for the championship.